What is up, my dudes? It's the King of Games 98, and I gotta be honest. I've been waiting a really long time to do this, but it's finally happening. So, most of you who remember my Let's Plays are just accustomed to seeing this: my TV with a little bit of my gaming setup, a few of my consoles out, and that's about it. Well, now I am finally going to do a game tour. Tour the Nerd Cave, because I like to call my room my Nerd Cave. So, let's begin. So, that is, my TV with a little bit of my gaming setup. 5 of my consoles out. And then this is my sidewall, which I decorated it myself. A lot of nerdy stuff I grew up with, stuff I like still. So, Metroid Other M, Lego AT-AT Walker, my first Nintendo Famicom multi-bootleg cart, which sadly I can't play that, but it's still pretty cool. Star Wars Trilogy on VHS, Casino Royale, because I'm a huge James Bond 007 fan, Casino Royale on vinyl. Right? That is vinyl, yeah. Or maybe that's Laserdisc. I don't know. Power Rangers, because I grew up with them. Freaking Dragon Zord, come on, son. Jason David Frank, what? Star Wars Clock, because, well, yes. Okay, so right here in my first little cubby, I got the Milton Bradley Microvision handheld video game system, which I don't ever hear a lot of people talking about or knowing of. Believe it or not, this was actually my dad's. It's from like the late 70s, early 80s. And what you would do is the game cartridges were really long and like the size of a rectangle, and you would basically like insert the whole game into the top part of right there. So the screen would be right there, and then the buttons would be right here, and there's an overlay for the buttons. Problem is, I never could figure out the freaking controls. Oh, and this is here is a little dial thing to move, obviously. But I could never figure out the button controls for any of the damn games, because the layout, the overlays for the buttons were numbers and like symbols. It was weird. It was weird. This guy takes 2 of the 9-volt batteries. That's why, yes, I have 2 9-volt batteries right there. It takes 2 9-volt batteries. And, yeah, as you can see, my dad actually had some of the original boxes for the games, believe it or not. Don't know how they survived, but, okay, yeah, here. So, this is a good example. So, this is what the whole game looks like. And you insert it into the Microvision just by sliding that up. Let me see if I can do this one-handed, guys. Well, no, you know what? It's easier for me to show you. So, this is the whole game cartridge. You would slide it up. It would click into place. That's the overlay for the buttons. There's the little screen. And this is the little knob that you would use to turn and move. So, that's, how I was describing it to you, but I'm sure it's probably a lot easier you guys just seeing that than me trying to describe it to you. There we go. Okay. So yeah, the game just clicks in right on the top like that. The screen goes over top of that. This is the layout for the button controls. But, yeah, I thought this was a really cool, neat little handheld, but I can never freaking figure out how to play the damn games. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I just paused that real quick to take that game back out of the Microvision and put the Microvision back. So yeah, that's the Milton Bradley Microvision. Really don't see them anymore nowadays. Yeah, so, I thought that was a cool video game oddity, cool handheld. Some Mattel and Television games, a few right there unboxed. It's like either the instruction manual or game catalog. I don't even own a Mattel and Television, but you know what? I figured screw it. Why not? I'll keep them, whenever I do finally get one and have some games for it. Moving on, got some Pop Funkos, some cool Star Wars action figures, some cool Batman stuff, Batman Beyond. That's the sixth. That's supposed to be the 1966 Batman. Oh crap! What was his name? Oh, Adam West. The Adam West Batman. Yeah, that's what that Pop Funko is supposed to be. The other one is Batman Beyond from the cult classic Batman Beyond 90s cartoon, which I really like. Next little cubby here, I have my Sega Saturn, a few of my controllers. This is something you don't see a lot. Sega Saturn Bomberman controller. Let me see if I can like move some of these cords here to show you. Bomberman's actually on the controller. Yeah, you see him right there? Yeah. This controller is supposed to be white because the controller was only made in Japan. And for those of you who don't know, the Sega Saturn in Japan was white. The whole console was white. It was actually pretty cool looking. But yeah, I'm sure as you can tell, this Bomberman Saturn controller doesn't really look white anymore. It kind of looks faded white. It kind of is. But you know what? It was cool. I thought it was, one of those, once in a lifetime controllers you're probably never going to see again. I bought that off eBay. Don't really remember how much I paid for it, but yeah. This is the freaking nice, almost new action replay I bought for my Sega Saturn. And when I say almost new, I mean it's literally in the box with the instruction manual. It's literally almost new. It has been taken out and opened though. I actually bought this off of eBay too. I think I paid like $25-$30 for that. But yeah, I bought that. When I bought that, it wasn't new. It was open, but it was in really nice shape. Here's my Game Shark. There's a few of the very few Saturn games I own. This is Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner, Japan import. RMJ Mystery Hospital, that's like a horror game, Japan import. And El Hazard the Wanderers, a game based off the anime series, also Japan import. Oh, and here's my one and only US Saturn game, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. It's actually a really good port of Mortal Kombat 3 for those of you who don't know. Sorry that I just paused that again, guys. Technical difficulties, and when I say that, I mean that game fell. In the back here, in this case, I got, oh, wait a minute. Hold up. Oh, this first case, I almost forgot, is my disc-only copy of the fantastic game, Nights in the Dreams for Sega Saturn. And my copy of that is actually the US version, so I take that back. I own 2 US Saturn games. Everything else, though, is Japan imports. And this back second case actually has 2 games in one case. Yeah, so it's got, this is the JRPG that was exclusive to Sega Saturn, Shining Wisdom, Japan import. And this other game is Slayer's Battle Royale 2, also Japan import for Sega Saturn, which that's based off the Slayer's anime series. Okay. And I don't know if you can see in the back there, I found an original Yu-Gi-Oh binder that had all 3 original Egyptian God cards. When I was growing up, freaking what I loved most was Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! So I actually found this at a local yard sale for $10. This was probably like a couple of years back. And I just had to buy it, honestly, for the nostalgia. Freaking Obelisk the Tormentor, Slifer the Sky Dragon, and the Winged Dragon of Ra. Yeah. So that was bought just purely for nostalgia, I don't really collect or play Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore nowadays. But yeah. Alright, moving on. Next little cubby. Oh, I call this my Shrine to Mega Man because I freaking love Mega Man and I love the Mega Man video game series, and Capcom hasn't really done shit with the series in years. But they did announce Mega Man 11. I was pretty hyped to hear that. Yeah, these are all original Mega Man action figures. That's I forget what the hell that was called. That's like a miniature Mega Man. That's a Perler Bead Mega Man from the cover art of Mega Man 7 on Super Nintendo. This is my original cart-only copy of Mega Man Battle Network for Game Boy Advance. That sadly does not work, but I didn't have the heart to get rid of it, so I figured I would put it in my shrine because it don't work. So my Proto Man Pop Funko, my Mega Man Firestorm Pop Funko, and a Mega Man X Command Mission strategy guide. I actually don't own that game, but I found the strategy guide, thought it was really cool, and figured, what the hell. Okay, moving on down here, my next cubby. So in the front here, I got most of my cartridge Japan import games. These are all Nintendo Famicom games. These are all my Nintendo Super Famicom games. Don't know, for those of you who are watching this, how long you've been with my channel, but a while back, I actually did videos back then on what my current Nintendo Famicom and Super Famicom game collections looked like. So I'm not really going to go much into detail and show you all the games because, you know, if you really want to see them, go back and watch those videos. But I will show you what's hiding in back of them. Aha! This bad boy of a handheld, known other than the Sega Genesis Nomad. God, this thing is badass! Basically, if you've never heard of the Sega Genesis Nomad, it's basically a portable handheld Sega Genesis. It plays all Sega Genesis cartridges, and it was actually licensed by Sega. This was a really cool handheld in, I guess this would have been from the mid-90s, 94, 95, I guess, yeah. Funny story, actually, how I came to acquire this. I traded a guy a Model 3 Sega Genesis, complete with cables and a controller, between 5 and 10 Sega Genesis games, and I gave him $30 cash for this Sega Genesis Nomad. I thought that was a really good freaking deal because Model 3 Sega Genesises aren't really worth all that much, and the games that I included with it, it wasn't anything like spectacular or rare or really worth money. And, you know, I didn't really mind giving him some cash because, like, you never see these. So, you know, when I saw that at a local flea market, I just had to grab it. That's the battery pack on the back. I think it takes, like, freaking 6 AA batteries. I actually have, you can't see it because it's black, I have a rechargeable battery pack, and I have a power supply for it, too. But I can't really get the rechargeable battery pack to work. So I just mainly, well, whenever and I haven't really used that in a while, as you can tell by the dust on it. Whenever I go to use that, I just put, you know, use the AA batteries. I got some Nintendo cheat code books. Cheat code book. That's a Halo 4 strategy guide, brand new, factory sealed. My next cubby here is my Donkey Kong 64 limited edition Jungle Green Nintendo 64. That's the matching controller with it. That's an extra green controller. Happens to be green. I got gold aftermarket performance, I think, brand N64 controller. I thought that was cool. And that's my really weird arcade style N64 controller. I believe it's called Arcade Shark. Never heard of it, but I thought that was cool as hell. That's my copy of Nuclear Strike 64 complete, and a little RF cable in the box, which doesn't work at all, but I thought it was cool because it was in the box. Moving on, it's a model of my favorite car, Pontiac Trans Am. Got a little football autographed by former Eagles player John Runyon. That is an official, original, early 2000s Dragon Ball Z Android 16 action figure. That's what's left of it in the packaging. And then in the back there, I got a really cool freaking Jimi Hendrix action figure, brand new in the packaging. I think that was made by the toy company NECA. Not really sure. But yeah, okay. And my last little cubby hole. Got an Atari freaking controller in the box. Sadly, I don't think it works, but I thought that was really cool. I didn't have the heart to get rid of it. This Super Saiyan, this Goku Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan God. I think I might have messed that up, but you know what I mean. Super Saiyan, Super God. I don't know. Little model, I guess you would say. I got that when I pre-ordered Dragon Ball FighterZ. My Piccolo Pop Funko, and the really, really weird, creepy looking Kid Goku clock. Yeah, I got that at a flea market, and I don't think it works, but it was cool. Cool Planet of the Apes color forms. and Scooby-Doo freaking Mystery Machine Hot Wheel car, because who doesn't love Scooby-Doo? Okay, so that was that. Oh, let me show you guys right here, right next to my recliner. This is where I usually sit, and you know, you guys see the TV. So right next to, on the left side of my recliner here, I got some of my Wii games. Wii and then GameCube, because I was able to fit the GameCube games, so I thought that was pretty cool. There's some other ones down there. And then in this rack, I got, well, it starts off with some of my Xbox 360 games, and then I have my entire PlayStation 3 game library. So, got some strategy guides, Gears of War, some games. That's, what's that? Oh yeah, Ghostbusters the video game. That was freaking fun. And yeah, it was that weird game that I didn't even open. I left it sealed. Huh. And here is the start of my PlayStation 3 game collection. Freaking got damn good games. Metal Gear Solid 4, Metal Gear Solid Legacy Collection, Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z, Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5 HD remixes, Dark Souls, Fallout, Darksiders, XCOM, Enemy Unknown. Then below here we got some more of my PS3 games. I know it's probably a little hard seeing because it's kind of in the dark, and then got some more down there. Okay, so on the floor here, I got this nice little container protecting some of my NES games. That's filled with more NES games, Zapper. Then I got this little container here with a few more NES games and some free space. So I'm going to move these out so I can pull that drawer open, and I'm going to start showing you what I got in my drawers. Okay, so I got them moved out of the way, and I can open that last drawer now. Oh, by the way, that's a Sega Sega Dreamcast light gun controller, and official Sega brand Sega Dreamcast keyboard controller. Don't really see them a lot. Okay, so this is my first drawer here. This is my NES. Whoa. Huh. Okay, so that is my original Nintendo. I'm not going to lie to you guys, I really barely use it because, well, how do I say this nicely? Fuck the 72-pin connector. Okay? That's all I got to say. I had to change that bitch about 2 or 3 times and I still couldn't get it to work. So I was like, fuck that. But I didn't have, again, you know, it was original Nintendo. I didn't have the heart to get rid of it, so I didn't. So it's been hiding in here. Friday the 13th. Castlevania 1, 2, and 3. Batman. That's Alpha Mission. Galaga. Got Tetris, Ninja Gaiden. It's Ninja Gaiden 2 complete box. Some other NES games. These are, whoa, hey, back there. These are, that's Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3, Mega Man 4, and Mega Man 5. I'm currently missing Mega Man 1 and Mega Man 6 for NES. Yeah, these are some more NES games, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Yeah, I want to show this to you guys. I thought it'd be really cool. This is probably one of my rarest NES games. It's Mendel Palace. Never freaking heard of it. It's complete in box and brand new factory sealed with original KB Toys price tag. Look at this. Or no. Wait, is that KB Toys? Oh no, it's Sears. Oh my god. Freaking Sears. Yeah, I'm guessing that was $20 and now it's $11.88. Huh, go figure. But yeah, this is probably the rarest NES game I freaking own. Got this at a flea market too for like $5, $10. I thought that was pretty damn cool because, you know, it's an NES game. Oh, and look, speaking of 72-pin connector, yeah, there's the one I freaking replaced and the bitch still don't work. Okay. Alright guys, so that is my whole first drawer, my NES, some of the many NES games I own, as you saw on the floor, in little containers and whatnot. I own a lot of NES games. Okay, so, moving on to the second drawer. The second drawer is my Super Nintendo and all Super Nintendo games. This is truly what awesomeness looks like. And yes, you can't even see my Super Nintendo because there's games covering it. So yeah, these are some of my prized Super Nintendo games. Secret of Mana, mint, complete in box. That's why it's in a plastic protective case, because it's that damn mint. And I also happen to own Secret of Evermore, complete in box. Box is a little beat, as you can tell. But, you know, it's still all there. And, freaking, I even own an original Secret of Evermore strategy guide from the 90s. Freaking really cool shit. There is my Super Nintendo. Yes, I keep my most prized games on top of it. 2 controllers, a V-cable power supply. There's my Super Game Boy attachment, and I got the manual for that. Here's my copy of Super Metroid. Great game. This is my repro copy of Castlevania Dracula X, because I'm never going to own... Yeah, see, I just wrote right on that. Because I'm never going to own a freaking original copy of that damn game. These are my Super Nintendo games. Okay, some more of my Super Nintendo games. I love the freaking SNK Neo Geo game ports. Oh, this is my copy of Illusion of Gaia. This actually is complete in box, and shout out to my cousin Colin. He gave me actually this copy of Illusion of Gaia, complete in box, and he also gave me his copy of King of the Monsters 2. Because when I saw that, I freaking knew that was an original SNK Neo Geo game, but it was a port to the Super Nintendo. Now, sadly, this is not complete in box. This is just literally the game cartridge and the original box. That's it. There's no insert manual. It's kind of all missing, but I still thought it was cool. And yeah, last year or the year before, when I was visiting my other relatives at Christmas, I was going through with my cousin, with my cousins, some of their old video games, and my one cousin, Colby, said, you know, if you see any games in here that we have that you would like or that you don't have, you know, you can have them. And then she was just like, you know, it's not like we play them anymore. Well, long story short, my other cousin, Colin, who is Colby's brother, well, he kind of felt a little differently about just giving me 2 of his, and these were actually his Super Nintendo games, but long story short, after kicking it around and really thinking hard about it, he let me have them. And he gave them to me either last year or the year before on Christmas Eve when I was visiting them. So shout out to you, Colin. Thank you very much again for still giving me these games. They're freaking awesome, and you rock. Okay, got Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Bomberman 2, Judge Dredd. Judge Dredd's actually really fun. Star Fox, Dungeons & Dragons, that's Eye of the Beholder. And what is that one? That's Tiny Toons Bust Loose. I don't know why I have that. I'm not going to go through all these games. I got Samurai Showdown right here. This is a great freaking Neo Geo port. And the freaking best Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game ever, TMNT 4 Turtles in freaking Time. Alright guys, that's going to do it for my drawer of Super Nintendo games. I'm going to put some of these back. I'm going to pause the video real quick, and then I will continue. Alright guys, so I'm back. So, There you go, you can take one last look. This is my whole drawer of my Super Nintendo, now covered with my Super Nintendo games, okay? Alright, moving on. My third drawer right here that I had to move my NES games from the floor is my original gray Nintendo 64 and my 64 games. Aha! You can kind of see my 64, it's kind of buried. Check out this beauty. Zelda Ocarina of Time complete in box. Yes, for N64. Do you believe I paid like 15 or 20 bucks for this a few years ago at a flea market? That was a very good buy. And yes, this is my copy of Super Mario 64, also complete in box. I got that in a lot of games years ago, and I got the new Tetris complete in box. My copy of Banjo-Kazooie's in there with the instruction manual. Some of my games. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Super Mario Kart 64. Destruction Derby. Pilot Wings 64. 1080 degree snowboarding. Wave Race 64. That's Quake on N64. It actually runs really good. F-Zero X. Original Super Smash Brothers. Fantastic. And my original loose cart only copy of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Yes, I have 2 copies of Ocarina of Time. One is complete in box, one is loose. Sue me. I keep the loose copy to play. The complete in box kind of just sits there and look nice. There's a few Mine 64 controllers, accessories, memory cards. I have more games. I'm not sure if I do or not. It's been a while. Yeah. Oh, yeah. My complete in box. The Tetris. Oh yeah, and then I got Namco Museum 64 complete box too. Yeah, so that's about everything in my N64 drawer. My console, some of my N64 games. I'm not going to go through all the games I own. It would take too long. Alright guys, well there you go. That was my drawer of my Nintendo 64 and most of my N64 games. But yeah. Okay guys, so moving on. This is that was the left side 3 drawers. Now I'm on the right side of the three drawers. Okay, so I can't open this drawer all the way because my PlayStation 4 is kind of right there. Yeah. But this top drawer is my Model 1 Sega Genesis with some of my games. Sonic 1 complete in box. Sonic 2 complete in box, not for resale. Pac-Mania complete in box. Ms. Pac-Man complete in box. I got some more. Sonic Spinball, Streets of Rage 2, Toe Jam and Earl, Sonic and Knuckles. Got like, I don't know, 4 or 5 Genesis controllers there. I got the Genesis 6-button arcade style controller, the Genesis 4 multiplayer adapter. Oh, this is really cool. This is a strategy guide for sort of one of the few RPGs on the Sega Genesis, Sword of Vermilion for Sega Genesis. And yes, I do actually own the game too. I think it actually might be on there, Street Fighter 2 Turbo Champion Edition. Ah, there's Sword of Vermilion. Thought it might be in here. There's Sonic 3D Blast, Sonic Spinball, and Eternal Champions. Guys, so here's one last look at my drawer with my Model 1 Sega Genesis, some of my Sega Genesis games, and Genesis controllers and whatnot. Okay? Alright. Okay, moving on. My second drawer below that houses my Model 2 Sega Genesis with my Genesis 32X, more Genesis games, some 32X games, and a few Sega CD games. Okay, so right there is my Model 2 Genesis. There's the two cables on top of it, 6-button style arcade, or, well, no, 6-button Genesis controller. It's my copy of NBA Jam, complete in box. And Garfield Caught in the Act. I think it's missing the manual, but... Okay, here's some more of my Genesis games. We have Urban Strike, Pitfall, Mind Adventure, Back to the Future Part 3. God, that game is so bad, but I kept it because Mutant League Football and Road Rash. Next we have Aladdin, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Beavis and Butthead, Game Ground, Mercs. God, that game is so freaking fun. It's like Akari Warriors, but good. Terminator 2, the arcade game, and Warlock. Then next along the final row, we have Taz and Escape from Mars, Tasmania, The Lost Vikings, Chuck Rock 2, Son of Chuck, The Lawnmower Man, Streets of Rage 3, that's hard to find, and Wiz and Liz. Then there's my Genesis 32X attachment. There's the few